Hello guys, I'm Fizzy and welcome back to another league race on F1 2016 in the AOR PC Split 1 League. This is round 14 of the season, the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. And to mark the occasion, I'm wearing my good old Fizzy career helmet, which, let's be honest, isn't being used for anything else right now, because as it turns out, online is way better than offline, let's be honest. But anyway, let's jump into qualifying for this Italian Grand Prix as we are about to start our first lap of the session, flying down the main straight, activating the DRS. Running a pretty low downforce setup around here, obviously. I think I've got like 3.2 on the wings or something like that. I can't completely remember, but anyway, as we have a bit of a lock-up into turn 1, not quite the ideal start with the lap there, running a bit deep and not therefore getting the best exit out of the corner as well. And unlike last week at Spa, I don't really have an excuse if I do badly here, because this time I have not done a 24-hour endurance race immediately before the F1 race, as we are slightly off the apex on the first part of the second chicane as well, but still managed to carry decent speed through there. Then comes the amazing Lesmo's fourth gear for the first part, trying to carry as much speed as possible, and for the second Lesmo, fourth gear again, controlling the throttle on exits. It can be dangerous to get too heavy on the throttle on that outside curb, but I managed to control it nicely on that occasion. And then DRS open again, coming into Ascari, the corner famous for corner cuts, obviously, but I managed to keep it on the track on this occasion, just about there on the exit as well. And I think that was a pretty good line through Ascari. Now we only got one corner to go in the session. Parabolica, an awesome corner if you nail it. Braking just before the 50-meter board, trying to carry as much speed as possible. Fourth gear on the apex, and then up shifting through the gear as we come towards the line again. Let's see what the time will be. A 1:21.975, which was actually a pretty decent lap. Put us provisionally in third at that point of the session, obviously quite an early point. But I did actually stay third for the vast majority of the session. Unfortunately, my second attempt of actually doing a lap, I messed up the second Lesmo, as you can see, while I was about a tenth or so up on the lap. So could have been a slight improvement, but still P5 in the end with that 1:21.9. One of only 5 drivers to actually get underneath the 1:22 mark. And with that lock-up on the first corner as well. So a little bit surprising, in a way, that I was so competitive and with, not completely nailing the lap either. So pretty happy with that qualifying, starting 5th out of 16 cars on the grid. And crucially, guys, you can see everyone qualified in this session on the super soft tires. Well, actually not everyone. I think Afro, Marek and Nally qualified on the softs. But basically, this is the first race this season where the tire wear glitch is not in effect, after Cody's fixed that in a patch. But let's see how we're gonna get on for this race. Lights are out now, and a bit of wheel spin off the line, and you can see AOR Veloci has got a monster start on the right side of the track. I've backed out a little bit to not be 3-wide Marco, who has smashed into the back of Nick B and taken the front end of Afro with him. It definitely looked like I was going to lose a few positions there into turn 1. But sometimes it does pay to be cautious, as we've seen here. Marco, unfortunately, off the track. Afro managing to recover to be 6th place behind me. But luckily, we have managed to stay out of trouble on the first corner there. And it seems like the majority of the field have done the same. So we are still in P5, running very badly out of the second chicane though, and that has cost a lot of speed. Afro has managed to slip through on those soft tires, but now on the first Lesmo he has actually run deep as well, so we're going to try to cut underneath, get it inside for the second Lesmo, brake nice and late, and there we go. We've got that position back immediately from Afro to retain our P5, although the top 4 pulling away a little bit now, and we are forced to go defensive into Ascari with Afro pressuring very closely, and it was a bit awkward braking on a different line in the race, on the inside line compared to where we brake on the outside line during qualifying and all of your practice. But we managed to nail that, and now we got a side-by-side situation with the 2 Red Bulls behind us, and I think Nick B, Veloci is just passing Nick B through Parabolica there as well, battling for a 3rd position, while it looks like the top 2, Non-Runner and Tirana Sager, pulling away a little bit already, while the rest of us are battling it out, putting the fuel up to Rich Mix now, going down the straight. And then back to standard for the braking zone, as these guys ahead now really have to be careful to nail their braking. Nick B going a little bit deep, but Veloci just about cutting underneath him, and no contact between them, but they've lost a bit of speed. And I have now caught right up to the back of the Marek, has passed Afro behind as well. Those 2 both on the soft tires, interestingly, deciding to qualify on the harder compound tire, despite the tire wear glitch no longer being in effect. Obviously the tire wear glitch previously being that if you started the race on a harder compound of tires, you will have yeah, well, you would have a better tyre wear on all of your stints later in the race as well, but now that bug is finally, luckily, eradicated. As Veloci and Nick now still going at it in the Lesbos, I've had a bit of a wiggle through there, which has really compromised my exits, and Marek now right on the back of us. Can we manage to defend from another Red Bull into Ascari with the inside line? This time Marek is a little bit further alongside than Afro was, but still I managed to nail the braking there, running slightly off the track on the outside, and at the same time Nick B getting back past Veloci, and now it's an absolute massive squabble for the final podium position here, and I'm trying to find a way to go, but Veloci kind of blocking the track as he wants to make the move on Nick B. I'm trying to follow him through though on the inside line through Parabolica, but can I carry enough speed with Nick B on the outside? It doesn't look like I can. I'm gonna have to try and slot back into the slipstream here with both of the Red Bulls still right behind. And now still with Rich Mix on the straight, we're going to get a massive run on and go up the inside of both Nick and Veloci towards the braking zone for turn 1. Going to be very tight into the corner though, braking at a good point to hit the apex, but Veloci braking even later, and luckily has left us room here on the outside as well. A bit of oversteer for both of us, but Veloci retaining a third place, but we've gotten ahead of Nick B, at least Afro's also gotten ahead of Nick B, and he's now still the car behind. As we come towards the second chicane on the third lap, we get another massive slipstream on Veloci. He's going to be forced defensive. I'm going to try to brake late there, but it's very tricky corner to go side by side, so I'm backed out of that one and retained the fourth place with Nick B fighting back now as well. It's an absolutely insane race so far. It reminds me very much of the Austrian Grand Prix, which was another case of the top two pulling away in clean air, and then the rest of us just battling like madmen on the first stint. And this is no different now on the start of lap 4, getting another nice DRS run on Veloci, and we seem to have got that position before the braking zone, so we're going to brake nice and easy down into the corner, but Veloci sticking his nose up the inside and has actually pushed me off the track. Oh, and we've got a penalty. We've absolutely been forced off the circuit there, forced to go across the first chicane, and has given us a 5-second stop-go penalty, which is a really annoying penalty to get, because whether that was unfair or not, that will be counting, because I'll have to serve that in the pit stop. And on the second chicane, Nick B dive bumping as well a little bit, catching me off guard. I've been forced to go through the corner again, this time no penalty luckily, but I've dropped down to Veloci, dropped to Afro as well, something on the inside through the Lesmo, trying to hold it around the outside, but running a bit deep, or wide even, on the AstroTurf. And it's all gone wrong at the start of lap 4 here. Looked like I was going to go through this lap in third place, but then Veloci deciding to not be too kind. And yeah, couldn't really avoid that. He just went deep into the braking zone at turn 1, and that's how it is. So, still trying to fight back though. Nick B getting a poor exit out of the Ascari now. Afra's going to make the move through on him for 4th. Can we follow him through this on the outside into Parabolica, but not really far enough alongside. Just going to have to try and cut underneath to get a good run at the corner. So onto the main straight now. Veloci goes in the pits and we're going to follow him in. So after only 4 laps on these super soft tires, you can see a nearly 60% wear on the rears. So tire wear really quite a major around here. And now of course we would have been in a decent position still at this point if it wasn't for this damn 5-second penalty, which is really annoying. That's going to put us kind of out of position now as we come out of the pits in a P14. To my surprise though, Nick B actually on the next lap when he pitted was still behind me, so he must also have had a bit of a problem. I've gone onto the medium tires, whereas Nick B though went onto the soft tires, because based on my calculations before the race, the best strategy if you start on the super soft would be to do one stint then on the mediums and then later on the stint on the soft tires, or the other way around of course, but I've chosen to do the medium stint first so that I'll have the faster soft tires later in the race. Unfortunately though, this means that when Nick came behind me, there wasn't much I could do to defend, because those soft tires had quite a bit more grip. And of course, annoyingly, you can see all of the trainer cars ahead of me, all of those cars that I would have been ahead of if it wasn't for that 5-second stop-go penalty. Nick B actually setting the first lap on that lap, so I guess there was no no major embarrassment to be easily passed by him, as Marek now coming out of the pits, and that's very close in the braking zone, nearly coming over into the outside line, but it was just about fine. So Marek coming out of the pits just ahead of us, also on the soft tires and a fresher as well, so he'll be another one that will be tricky to keep up with. We are keeping up with the Sauber from Massachusetts though, who is now about to be passed by Marek into the second chicane. I'm not sure, I think Massachusetts might have started on these tires actually and been running on the same set from the start of the race. And oh, Oh, that's not good. That's the opposite of good. That is bad. That is front wing damage. That's Afro. Speaking of not good, he's had a not good moment somewhere because it was going really slow through the Lesmo. So I'm up to 11th place, but now with front wing damage on the left-hand side from Massachusetts, just braking really surprising me with how early he braked for the first Lesmo, to be honest. Obviously, I'm not going to blame him because that's the car behind, you know. It's usually my responsibility to make sure to not hit into someone, but yeah, I really got surprised by him braking, you know, surprisingly early for what I was going to do. And unfortunately that has given us damage. Now we're going to try to pass him down the outside of Ascari. Despite the wing damage, we're going to try to pull this one off. If we can get a good enough exit onto the main straight. And, come on, Massa. Didn't even get the chance to properly complete that move because he went into the pits. But anyway, tiny bit later on, we are getting passed by another soft tyre runner into Parabolica. And you can see the front wing isn't exactly helping in terms of my grip through those kind of corners. Getting the DRS now though, of course, to try and fight back, although Nali also has the DRS, but we did get a much better run with a bit of slipstream coming down into the first corner. Trying to brake very late there, hitting the apex. Nali's still trying to hold on though, and he has got more grip in the tyres and should have an advantage now in the traction zone, and he's just about slowly edging ahead. So we're going to remain out of the top 10 for the time being, although up into 9th after a few cars pitted later on, although then back down to 10th again after Lolol came up the inside into the first corner. Also the mediums actually, but of course presumably without front wing damage. So at the end of lap 17 with 10 laps remaining in the race is when I decided to make my second stop, get that front wing changed, but of course it's essentially like another 5-second stop-go penalty because it adds lots of time to the pit stop as well. So it's a 10.2 second pit stop. That's 7 seconds slower than normal for the Renault pit crew. So it's really quite frustrating, and we're going to come out in 13th position on the track with most of the guys ahead, quite far ahead, although Nick B again surprises me by coming out of the pits behind me again, and I think he's done another stop, so he has again had another problem of some sort. That's now on lap 19, a car off the track. That is Mini Black, who's been off on the second chicane, and there's a yellow flag through the Lesmos. Let's see what's going on here. There is 2 car on the gravel on the left hand side. That is Veloci and Massachusetts, who have had an incident and completely off the track. That is going to promote us though up into the top 10 again, and now close behind Mini Black with the DRS open. Maybe we'll have a little look into the turn 1. No, not quite. Not going to be making any dive bombs. I've already been annoyed at people making dive bombs on me, so I'm not going to do the same to other people really. Veloci though, the man who did make the biggest dive bomb on me, has left the session. Maybe a bit of karma there. I'm not going to go on a limb too much, but yeah, it's not quite worked out for him in this race after pushing me off the track. But anyway, I'm not bitter or anything, but we're going to focus now on the battle for 9th position with a Mini Black ahead and a Nick B just behind as well. All of us now on the same tyres, the soft compound, and presumably with an similar amount of wear on them as well. So it's a straight fight for 9th at the moment between the 3 of us, and we are definitely within the DRS range on Mini Black coming onto the start of lap 22. 6 laps now to go in the race. Let's see if we can pull close enough before the braking zone here for turn 1. Nope. No, but Mini Black's run off the track though. He's braked way too late, completely lost concentration or something into the braking zone for the first corner, and that has dropped him behind both me and Nick B. So it really looked like it was going to be hard for me to get a proper run on him in the back with the way I was driving, but then he did make that mistake, which really helped. And now the Nick B coming through with the DRS on the exit entry even to Ascari, and is held around the outside with a good line, so we're going to have to drop down to 10th for now. Crucial now though, if you do get past into Ascari, it's absolutely crucial to try and stay close on this straight and through Parabolica, so they can get a run on the other DRS straight down into turn 1. We are definitely staying close, that's for sure. This time through Parabolica with no front wing damage, which does help, and we are definitely within range now to pressure Nick B coming into the first corner. DRS enabled, and we are getting a good run. Going to pull to the outside line though, because he's defending the inside, but we are fully ahead before the braking zone to reclaim 9th position. Bit of a lock-up, very similar of my qualifying lap, that one. That line through the first chicane, but still good enough to stay ahead of Nick. And then on the next lap, we were forced to go a little bit defensive, but then I decided that he wasn't close enough really to be a threat, although he did try and stick a little bit of his car up the inside, so I left room, and it worked out well. Managed to defend that position despite a bit of a scare from Nick's front wing, although that line definitely isn't going to do us any favours with a run down this particular straight through Curva de Grande, I believe it is called, and though we are still ahead into the second chicane, although will we be ahead out of it, because that is not a particularly great line and exit. Just about, though, Nick is not close enough to take advantage. So at the end of the lap then, missing the apex slightly through Parabolica, and then trying to get on the throttle, having a bit of oversteer, having to save the car, and that is going to give Nick again a very good run down the main straight, with Mini Black following super closely behind as well. I'm kind of placing my car in the middle of the track, moving to the racing line again, trying to defend in the same way that we did earlier on, leaving the room on the inside of the first apex and then getting the inside for the second one. And Nick B's actually lost it back there. Nick B is in the gravel on the exit of the corner. Maybe he slightly tapped my rear tire or something, but certainly from my view I didn't feel any contact. And now on the penultimate lap, interestingly, Ryan appearing out of nowhere. I didn't even know that he was ahead of me, to be honest, but suddenly he's appeared, and it turns out that he was trying to one-stop this race, and that his tires at this stage of the race were absolutely shattered, and he was nearly driving on rims on those soft tires, and you can see him really struggling with the pace there. We should have a pretty straightforward overtake with DRS. He's going to go to the inside line, but luckily the overspeed for us will pull us ahead before the braking zone. So we have made a move on Ryan here on the penultimate lap to go up to 8th place then, with only 1.6 seconds up to Lolol in 7th as well. And Mini Black as well also getting ahead of Ryan, and he's not far behind as we start the final lap of the race. Will we have to go defensive? Ooh, not quite. Mini Black just far enough behind for me to take the proper line through this corner, which means I can get a good exit out of here. So in the mirror there as well, that Mini Black actually had a slight oversteer moment, and then through the second chicane again. Mini Black struggling a little bit through there because we're gaining some time on him, and surprise surprise, Taran Siggers won the race. Never seen that message before. But for us it's all about trying to hold on to this 8th place now really, and into the final corner we go. Mini Black not really close enough anymore to be of too much threat unless I completely mess it up, but I don't. So that's fine. Come across the line in 8th place to get 4 points, unless actually Lolol has a penalty, and that means we're going to get 7th instead for 6 points in the championship. Nick B coming home in 11th in the end, so he definitely had a poor end to the race. And like me, will probably feel that he could have gotten a lot higher up on the results if things had worked out better, of course. I think I would estimate I lost about 15 seconds at least from the stop-go penalty, the front wing change, and driving quite a bit of laps with damage as well. So if it wasn't for those things, I definitely feel like I could have at least had a top 5. But it is how it is. It doesn't always work out the way you want them to. Still though, a decent recovery I feel in the end of the final stint to get 7th place at the finish after having been 13th when coming out of the pit lane. And of course in the championship not too much has changed, still holding on to 3rd, non-runner pulling away in 2nd of course, but still in 3rd with a okay-ish gap down to Marco, Nuka and Nick, who are the closest challengers down there. And of course for the constructors, still holding on to 2nd for Renault, even though I'm basically a lone team driver at the moment, with Race Fanatic still having his wheel problems. Although there are rumors that I might just have a new teammate for the next race at Singapore. So let's wait and see what happens with that. But that's it for the Italian Grand Prix, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the action once again, and that you will be back with me again next time at the streets of Singapore. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice time until we meet again, and goodbye.